الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الصلاة والسلام عليك يا رسول الله وعلى آلك وأصحابك يا حبيب الله الصلاة والسلام عليك يا نبي الله وعلى آلك وأصحابك يا نور الله اللهم افتح علينا حكمتك وانشر علينا رحمتك يا ذا الجلال والإكرام الصلاة والسلام عليك يا نبي الله وعلى آلك وأصحابك يا نور الله نية المؤمن خير من عمله. The intention of the believer is better than his action. Let's make intentions, good intentions for attending today's session, inshallah Azza wa Jal, in order to gain the pleasure of Allah Azza wa Jal and to attain reward, and in order to learn Islamic knowledge, religious knowledge, out of which some of this knowledge may be fard upon us to learn. We will attend today's session from beginning till the end, insha'Allah ta'ala. And we will try our utmost best to attend the session with full concentration, insha'Allah azza wa jal. Sallu ala al-habib, sallallahu ta'ala ala Muhammad, sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam. Salatu wa salaman alayka ya Sayyidi ya Rasulullah, sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam. Alhamdulillah, today, Friday, the 22nd of January, it is our fourth day of this online Salah course that we are currently having. Alhamdulillah, through the means of the Department of Madani courses of Dawat-e-Islami in the UK. Alhamdulillah. So far, we've covered the Tahara aspect, in which we went over wudu, ghusl, and touched upon tayammum as well. Today, inshallah ta'ala, we will be taking our course forward and moving on, inshallah azza wa jal. And the main topic of today's session will be the preconditions and the conditions, the shara'it of salah, inshallah azza wa jal. So on our first session, or the second session rather, we went into great detail about the conditions of Salah. Inshallah, we just mentioned the list of them. Today, inshallah, we are going to go into detail of them, inshallah. So if we recall, there are 6 conditions of Salah, Shara'it. The first is Tahara, purity and cleanliness. In that we mentioned that Tahara, this covers the clothes, the body, and the place of worship. And we mentioned that under the body, mainly we are talking about the ghusl and wudu, and they are both done by means of water. And if an individual does not have access to water, then the Sharia gives him leeway of using earthen objects such as the soil, the sand, limestone, stone, dust. This can be used for tayammum. And then we mentioned, obviously, in terms of the clothes and the place of worship, this is talking about the najasa, which will not be covered in this course. Inshallah, we will be holding a Tahara course. For that, inshallah, we will be covering that during the Tahara course, inshallah. Number 2, sitre aurat. Okay, the covering of the body, veiling of the body. Okay, this is what we mean by sitre aurat. For a man, the area of the body which is sitr, which must be covered at all times, is from the navel to the knees, including the knees. So the knees of a man must be covered as well. So from just below where the navel ends, from that point all the way down to including the knees covered must be covered as well. This is for the man. Whereas for the woman, her entire body must be covered except her face, her 2 palms, and the soles of her 2 feet. However, the valid opinion is that the salah of a woman will be valid if both of her hands to the wrists and feet up to her ankles are uncovered. So the part of the body that must be covered for a man is from the navel, the belly button, down up to and including the knees. And for the woman, her entire body must be covered except her face, her two hands, and her 2 feet up to the ankle and up to the wrist. In this, there are certain things that we need to keep in mind and need to be careful about. The first thing is the clothing that we are wearing to cover our body. It shouldn't be so thin which will expose the part of the body which is fard to conceal in the salah. And when we are talking about exposing the body, here we are also including exposing the color of the skin as well. So the clothing should not be so thin that through the clothing the limb can be visible, or even the color of the skin can be visible. If this is the case, if the clothing is so thin, then the salah will not be valid. Someone saying that I can't see you, G. Unfortunately, I'm not in my normal location where I have the webcam, so I can't turn the camera on today, unfortunately. I don't have my webcam with me. Nowadays, unfortunately, the trend of wearing such thin clothing is increasing, and we must be careful in terms of this, that to expose any part of the sitar at any time, not just during salah, this is haram. And we need to make sure that our sitar is always covered. Okay, especially nowadays when people go to the gym, etc., or they're playing sports. Some people, they wear shorts. If the shorts are covering the knees and they are above they are up to the navel, then it's completely fine. But if the area underneath the navel is visible and the knees or the thighs are visible, then this is not allowed and this is haram. Okay, even when going swimming and stuff like that, these things need to be taken into consideration. Another thing here that we need to add is that nowadays another trend that is increasing in terms of clothing, that is wearing tight, skin tight clothing. This is also not allowed. One point is the same, that if the skin tight clothing is so tight to the body that it makes the color of the skin visible, that is not allowed as well. That's one thing. And the second thing is if it reveals the shape of the sitar. So the body limbs that need to be covered, if the clothing is so tight that you can clearly see the shape of that limb, then this is also not allowed. What do you mean about that? Is that a question? Tight clothing that shows body shape? Question mark. I don't understand the question, sorry. Yes, the clothing that we should wear should be loose. That doesn't reveal the shape of the body. And one final point here that I would like to mention, especially for Islamic sisters, is that the scarf that they are wearing, the hijab that they are wearing to cover their hair, that should also not be so thin that the blackness of the hair can be visible through it. Okay, it should be a quite thick and dark head covering, so that the blackness of the hair is not visible through it. So that was covering of the body, sitri awra. Number 2, second condition. The third condition is istiqbal qibla. This basically means facing in the direction of qibla, and the qibla for us is the Kaaba. For the previous ummahs, the qibla was towards Bayt al-Muqaddas, Masjid al-Aqsa Sharif. In the early days of Islam, the qibla was Masjid al-Aqsa Sharif, and then we all know about the event that took place when during the Prophet ﷺ was offering salah, Allah revealed the revelation that now the Prophet ﷺ is to change the direction of qibla from Masjid al-Aqsa Sharif towards Masjid al-Haram, the Kaaba. And those Ashiqan Rasulullah have been blessed with the visitation of Madinatul Munawwara, and you go on the ziyarat of Madinatul Munawwara. Taqriban almost everyone does visit Masjid Qiblatain, where you go and you can see on the wall there is a small mihrab that denotes in which direction first was the direction of Qibla, and then completely 180 degrees behind that is the current direction of Qibla. Someone's asked a question, they have a question about wudu, and they're asking that if you have wudu and you fall asleep, does your wudu remain valid, or does it become invalid? In relation to this, what I would recommend is if you get the book Laws of Salah, there's certain conditions in certain ways that you sleep, if the wudu will be broken, and other ways when you sleep, the wudu will not be broken. For further detail, read the book Laws of Salah. There's a complete section in there about when wudu will break in the state of sleeping and when it will not, inshallah ta'ala. So coming on to the istiqbal qibla, an individual must be facing in the direction of the Kaaba within 45 degrees to the right and 45 degrees to the left of the Kaaba. So we have this 90-degree leeway in which we must be facing within for our salah to be valid. If the one who is offering his salah, he turns his chest deliberately away from the Qibla without any valid reason, his salah will become invalid immediately, even if he turns it back straight away. He moved his chest away from the direction of Qibla deliberately and without any valid reason, then his salah will become invalid even if he turns it back immediately. However, if an individual, he turns his chest away from the Qibla unintentionally, not deliberately, then as long as he puts his chest back in the direction of Qibla, within the time it takes to say Subhanallah 3 times, his salah will still be valid. So for example, an individual is offering his salah and someone nudges him. And when he nudges him, his chest, it turns away from the direction of Qibla. Keep your camera turned off, please. Especially, it looks like some Islamic sister there or something. Please turn your camera off. G. Moving on. Next point. If an individual only turned his face from the direction of Qibla, then it is wajib to turn the face back towards the Qibla instantly. The salah will not become invalid in this case, but if it is done without a valid reason, then the salah will become makruh tahrimi. Something which is makruh tahrimi will cause the salah to repeat it again. The point again is that if an individual was to just turn his face, so his chest is facing the Qibla, the direction of Qibla, it's just his face has turned from the direction of Qibla, then it is wajib for him, it's necessary that he turns his face back towards the Qibla instantly. His salah will not become invalid in this case. However, if there is no valid reason to turn his face from the direction of Qibla, his salah will become makruh tahrimi. Makruh tahrimi is the stricter of the makruhs. You got makruh tanzihi and makruh tahrimi. Makruh tahrimi is such an action that if it occurs in your salah, then that salah, you will complete it, it won't become invalid, but it is necessary to repeat that salah. And when we're going to come on to the actions of makruh tahrimi, we will come into this and we'll discuss it more in detail, inshallah ta'ala. Now the question will occur that you're traveling and you're at a certain place where you don't know where the direction of Qibla is. You've tried to find out, make means to find the direction of Qibla. Try looking for a local Muslim that can tell you which is the direction of Qibla, but you have not been successful. Now, what is the hukam? What should an individual do then? Here, an individual, he has to do something which is called taharri. I.e., he will have to ponder and he will have to think which would be the direction of Qibla. Here in the UK, the direction of Qibla is in the southeast. Other places around the world, the Qibla direction will be different. If you can download the prayer times application on your mobile phone of Dawat-e-Islami, which is both available on iOS platform as well as Android platform. In there is a Qibla finder, the compass that can help you and assist you in that. And inshallah, I will tell you the local time of Salah as well. So an individual here, he will have to do tahari. He will think, he will ponder which is the direction of Qibla. Now, once he's done his tahari, wherever his heart has settled that this is the direction of Qibla, that would be considered as the direction of Qibla for him. Now he would face that way and he will read his salah. Now a scenario occurs that an individual did tahari and he read his salah facing in a certain direction. Later he finds out that the Qibla was not in that direction, but rather it was in the opposite direction or in a different direction. Then he does not have to repeat his salah will be complete. The condition is that he did tahari, he pondered, and then he read in that direction that he pondered upon. Now another point, one individual, he is at a specific place and he did not know the direction of Qibla. He did tahari, he pondered, and he come to this understanding that this is the direction of Qibla. Now with this understanding, he started offering his salah. He's done tahari and is reading salah in a certain direction. Now someone else comes and sees him reading salah in that direction. He also starts reading salah in that direction. Now the person who did the tahari and read salah in that direction, his salah will be valid, his salah is complete. But the person that saw him and started following him, his salah will not be valid. The first person should after he's finished his salah, should tell that individual that I've done tahari, you also need to do your tahari. So that other person, he needs to do tahari as well. He needs to ponder and think which is the direction of Qibla. If after his thinking, he also comes to the same conclusion that that is the direction of Qibla, then in such a scenario, he may also read in that direction. But he must do his own tahari. He must ponder himself. He must think himself which is the direction of Qibla. That is necessary and important for him. Now, let me give you a scenario and let's take a scenario. There's 4 Islamic brothers traveling on a journey together. In one car, they're traveling together. Now it's time for salah, so they stop somewhere in order to offer their salah. Now, there's no one there to tell them which is the direction of Qibla. There's no apparent signs in which they can see the direction of Qibla. So what do they have to do? They'll have to do tahari. Now all 4 of them will have to do their own tahari. You can't say that, okay, this person, he's the most learned of us, so he'll do his tahari and we'll follow him. No, you are not allowed to follow him. You'll have to do your own tahari. If in that tahari that you are doing, he is explaining his reasonings as why he thinks it's in one particular direction, and your mind is also said that what he is saying it is right, then that is fine. That will be classified as your tahari as well. But just because one of their 4 has said that it's in that direction, therefore for this reason, then you all read that way, that is not good enough. That is not sufficient. To such an extent that if all 4 of them was to do tahari and all 4 of their direction would be completely opposite. So one individual says it's towards one way, and then his complete opposite, another person says, one of the other brothers say it's that way, and the other 2 say it's on the right and left of them. Then all 4 of them will have to offer the salah in the direction that their tahari is, even if they all 4 facing different directions. You have to do your own tahari. Hopefully that makes sense. Insha'Allah ta'ala. Moving on to number 4. And that is waqt, timing. It is necessary to offer the salah within its stipulated time. For example, today's Salatul Zohar, Salatul Asr must be offered within the time of Salatul Zohar and within the time of Salatul Asr. If it is not offered within that time, then it will not be offered as Ada, meaning being offered on time. If it is offered before, then it won't be anything. Then if it's offered afterwards, it will be as Qada. Nowadays, like I mentioned, we've got timetables in your local masjid. You got Dawat-e-Islami's prayer times application, which one of the brothers has sent the link on the Zoom chat as well. You can visit Dawat-e-Islami.net's website, www.dawat-e-islami.net. You can visit our website and you can go onto the download section and find all of the religious applications, mobile applications Dawat-e-Islami has. And you can find the prayer times application there. You can download it from there as well. So you got the times there as well, and you look at that and you can offer your salah according to those timings. And then obviously locally in the masajid, generally nowadays, in our day and age, for the ease of the namazis, alhamdulillah, the masajid generally have fixed jamaat times as well. So if you're going to read your salah with jamaat in the masjid, then obviously the timing of your local masjid, you can keep that into consideration, and they will keep that within the timing of the salah anyway. In terms of the jamaat timing, for the Islamic sisters that are going to read the salah at home, it's mustahab and better for the sisters to offer salatul fajr in the initial time, to read it in the beginning time. And for the other salahs, Zohar, Asr, Maghrib, Isha, then it is better for them to read their salah after the local jama'at. So when the men return home after completing their jama'at, then it is better for the Islamic sisters to read their salahs after the jama'at takes place. Now, during the day, there are 3 times which are known as the makruh times. So throughout the day, there are 3 certain timings that are known as the makruh times. During this timing, no salah is valid. You're not allowed to do any salah, be it nafal, be it qada. Any salah cannot be read in these timings. The first one is from sunrise and 20 minutes after sunrise. So for example, let's just take an example that today sunrise is at 8 o'clock. So from 8 o'clock to 8:20 a.m., salah will not be valid. This will be makruh time. No salah will be valid. So in that time, we are not allowed to read any qada salah. We are not allowed to read any nafal salah either. Even sajda tilawat should not be done during this time. For Salatul Fajr is better for the Islamic sisters to read it in the initial time before the Jama'at of the men. And for the other Salahs, it's better for the Islamic sisters to wait after the Jama'at of the men and then read their Salah. This is mustahab. It's desirable. If they do it, it's reward worthy. If they don't do it, they read it at the other times, for example, after the men for Fajr and before the Jama'at for the remaining Salahs, then it is fine. They're not sinful at all. It's mustahab. They do it, they'll be rewarded with good intentions. So we're talking about the makruh times. The first one we mentioned from sunrise up to 20 minutes after. The second is from 20 minutes before sunset up till sunset. So for example, if we say today sunset was at 4:30 p.m., then from 4:10 till 4:30, this is the makruh time. No salah is allowed during this time. However, in this 20 minutes, if an individual has not yet offered his Asr Salah for that day, then he is to offer his Asr Salah. Because the timing of Asr is up until sunset. Okay? Although the last 20 minutes are makruh, but the timing of Asr is up until sunset. If an individual does not read his Salah up until that time, then he must read it even in the makruh time. And Sayyidi Ala Hazrat Rahmatullahi Ta'ala, he mentions that to delay Asr to such an extent that the makruh time begins is haram, it's not allowed. But he will still have to read his Asr. He can't say that, oh, now the makruh time has begun and I'll read it as qadar. No. Read your Asr, but to delay it so much is not allowed, it's haram. And the third timing of the day, which is makruh, is from midday. And midday, we do not mean 12 o'clock. Okay, it's known as nisfun nahar. This is when the sun is at its highest peak of the day. When the sun is at its highest peak of the day, this is known as nisfun nihar. From that time up to the sun begins to decline. So when the sun starts to decline, then the salah will now become valid again. Now the time of makruh will end once the sun begins to decline. And when the sun begins to decline, this is the beginning time of Salatul Dhuhr. This Nisfun Nahar, this timing generally on calendars is written as the Zawal time. Okay, in actual fact, the Zawal time is the beginning of Zohar, because that is the real terminology for Zawal should be used for when the Zohar time begins, because Zawal meaning now the sun has started to decline. But in our society, we know what we call Zawal is the timing from Nisfun Nihar, when the sun is at its highest peak, up until the time when the sun begins to decline. In some places, it might also be called Dahwa Kubra as well. So these three times, these are known as the makruh times. Yes, Fajr Salah can be read up until the sun rises. In terms of this timing of the Salah as well, one other thing I will add is that as if the takbir of the Salah is done within its timing, then the Salah will be considered, the first takbir ula, then the Salah will be considered as being done, except for Salatul Fajr. The Salatul Fajr, the Salah must be done within its timing as well. Salatul Fajr, Salatul Jumu'ah, the Eidain, these Salahs, the Salah must be done within the timing of the Salah as well. So when you're reading Salatul Fajr, you need to do your salam before the sun rises. Another thing, during the timing of Fajr and after an individual has read the Fard of Asr, you are not allowed to read Nawafil Salah. Qada Salah can be still read, but Nafal Salah cannot be read. So during the entire timing of Salatul Fajr and after an individual has offered his Salatul, the Fara'id of his Salatul Asr, after this up until sunrise, Nafal Salah cannot be read. Not sunrise, sunset. So after Asr, up until sunset, Nafal Salah cannot be read. And this is generally why it is discouraged that if you're in the masjid, for example, you've read your fard of asr and now you want to read qada salah, don't read it in the masjid. The reason for this is that because nafal salah is not allowed. So if you're reading salah, then after you read your asr, the fard of asr, then people will know that you are reading qada salah. And to reveal a sin is also a sin. So we must be careful that we don't tell people about our sins. Missing our salah, not reading salah on time, this is a sin. And for us to reveal this sin, this is also a sin. It's not allowed. When Allah has concealed your sin, why are you unveiling it? Unfortunately, nowadays we get individuals that are talking, oh, today I missed Fajr Salah. Oh, today I don't know what happened. I was just completely knocked out. I wasn't able to get up and I missed my Fajr. Why are you telling other people? You should be ashamed that you were unable to wake up for Salatul Fajr. And you're here telling other people that you stayed asleep and you wasn't able to wake up for Salatul Fajr. Moving on. The fifth condition of Salah is niyyah, intention. And by this we mean the firm intention of the heart. A verbal intention is not necessary, but it is better. As long as you have the intention in your heart, then it's better to say by the tongue as well. Some people, they have a habit, they'll say the intention by tongue, but in the heart they've got nothing. Then that doesn't count. You can say whatever you want by the tongue, but until the intention is not in the heart, it will count for nothing. A question has been asked here, that what if someone asks you if you read Fajr, what would you say? In this scenario, first thing is that we shouldn't ask people such questions. Okay? Such questions that force them to lie, we should not ask people such questions. Okay, sometimes this is just one example. That did you read Fajr? Obviously, if the person didn't read Fajr and he says yes, that would be lying. Yeah? So don't force other people to lie. Another very common other thing is that when you go to someone's house and they provide you something, a drink or some food, and you ask them, how was it? Now, if he doesn't like it, he's not going to say to you that I didn't like it. If he did, then he would probably hurt your feelings. So these type of questions we should avoid. Amir al-Sunnah, the founder of Dawat-e-Islami, Hazrat Maulana Ilyas Qadri, Hafidahullah Ta'ala, he constantly gives us this mindset to avoid such questions. However, if an individual is asked this, then you should try to avoid the question. If you didn't read Fajr that day, then avoid the question so that you're not lying, and along with you not lying, that he doesn't find out that you missed your Salatul Fajr. Moving on. Making the intention in any language is sufficient. It doesn't have to be in Arabic, it doesn't have to be in Urdu or Punjabi. It can be in any language you want. Verbal intention. Remember, the main maqsad is the intention is to be in the heart. And in relation to this as well, there's no significance to the verbal intention. Verbal utterance, there's no significance to this. The significance is what is in the heart. For example, If an individual stood up to read Salatul Dhuhr, and in the heart he's got the intention to read Salatul Dhuhr, but accidentally from the tongue he come out as Salatul Asr, then his Dhuhr will be valid. Even though he's uttered Salatul Asr from the tongue, but in his heart he was reading Dhuhr, then his Salah will be valid. The least level of intention is that if someone asks you which Salah you are about to offer, which one you are about to read, then without thinking twice, an individual should reply straight away, promptly, instantly. Oh, I'm reading Salatul Isha. He doesn't have to think twice. Oh, I'm reading Isha. That's not good enough. Yeah, you should know. You're about to read your Salah, you're standing up, and someone says to you, what Salah are you reading? Straight away, I'm reading Salatul Isha. If he is in a state that he has to recall before replying, then his Salah will not be valid. So he has to think about it. Now, what Salah am I reading? Then that's not an intention in the heart. He should know, and he should be able to reply instantly. An individual has asked the question that when praying you forgot how many rakah you have read, what is the best thing to do? Here you would think, and you would go on what your heart is settled on, that I've read this many rakahs. I've read 3, I've read 2. That's where you go and you would think, you try and work out, for example, have I sat the qa'dah yet or not? If you have sat the qa'dah, then it's possible it's your 3rd or 4th rakah. If you've not sat the qa'dah, it's possible it's your 1st or 2nd rakah. So you would think that, okay, I've not sat the qa'dah yet, okay. Have I done 1 rakah? How many sajdas have I done? Have I done 2? Have I done 4? Think about this, and then whatever your mind settles on, that is what would be classified as how many rakahs you've done. If the salah is fard, for example, the 4 fard of Isha, then the intention of fard is also necessary. Okay, so in his heart he must know that I am going to read the fard of the salah, the 4 fard of Isha. So if someone asks, are you reading the sunnahs or are you reading the fard? He goes, I don't know which one I'm reading. Then that's not good enough. He must know that I am reading the fard of Salatul Isha, for example. If he's reading Salatul Isha, then he knows that I am reading the fard of Salatul Isha. If you forget how many rakahs you have done, can you break the salah and start again? No. You wouldn't break the salah. Breaking the salah without a valid reason is not allowed as well. So you wouldn't break the salah. You'll ponder, you'll work out how many you've done, and then you'll finish off your salah accordingly. Okay, when it comes to salah, nafal salah or sunnah and tarawih, a general intention is correct, but it is safer and better to make the intention for each one of these. Okay, it's better to make the intention that I'm going to read the sunnah salah, the nafal salah, or when it comes to tarawih, to read the salah to tarawih. Make intention for this. Okay, and when it comes to nafal, if an individual just to make the intention that I am going to offer 2 rak'ah of salah, Allahu Akbar, that is sufficient as well. He doesn't have to specify and say that it's a nafal salah. Just a general intention that I'm going to read 2 rak'ahs of salah, Allahu Akbar, that will be sufficient for the nafal salah. Okay, you don't have to mention that my face is facing towards the Qibla. Okay, this is not necessary for the intention. It's not a condition of the intention. When we are reading salah with jama'at, and the person that's reading behind the imam, he can also make the intention that I intend to offer the same salah as the imam is offering. That would be sufficient. The wajib salah such as Eid al-Fitr, Eid al-Adha, the Witr, and Nazr Mu'ayyan, these salahs, you will have to make the intention of wajib with it as well. The intention of a sajda shukr is also necessary. Okay, so although sajda shukr is nafal, it's a voluntary thing that an individual will do, but the intention of this is necessary. You have to make the intention that I'm going to perform sajda shukr, and then saying Allahu Akbar, you will go into sajda. And remember, this is intention is the presence in the heart. Generally, when you're going to do a sajda shukr, you know that you're doing a sajda shukr anyway. That's why you're going into sajda. But you need to make sure that it's present in the heart. And same will occur for sajda sahw. That you make intention for sajda sahw. Generally, you know that you've made a mistake, and that's why now you're going to sajda sahw. It's in the heart. Yeah, so that is fine as well. If someone asks you that you read tashahud, you've done salam on one side, now you're doing two more sajdas, what's the reason for this? Yeah, straight away you'll be able to tell him that I'm doing this because it's a sajda sahw. Sajda due to forgetfulness in salah. So that is the intention. If you make a mistake in namaz and someone realizes it and tells you, what do you do? Okay. If that person is outside salah and he was to tell you and you followed him, then your salah will become invalid. Okay. But if you realized yourself and you rectified your mistake, that is fine. But you need to know when can you rectify it or not. Sometimes you would have done something, then you can't go back to fix it. You'll have to do sajda sahw at the end of it. It will matter as per scenario. The sajda in the Quran, how do you perform them? Okay, if you are reading a verse of sajda in your salah, like in Salatul Tarawih we do, then after the recitation of sajda, the sajda tilawah, you say Allahu Akbar, go straight into sajda, do the sajda, and then come stand back up, back into qiyam. But if you're talking about generally when you're reading on the normal reading Quran, and you want to you come to across the sajda tilawah, then you will stand up, make the intention of sajda tilawah, saying Allahu Akbar, you'll go into sajda, say your tasbihat of sajda, Subhana Rabbiyal A'la 3 times, and then say Allahu Akbar and sit back up or stand back up, and the sajda tilawah will be completed. Sajda shukr, sajda tilawat is one sajda. Yes. Now we're coming on to the 6th and final condition of the salah. This is the takbir-e-tahrima, the beginning, initial takbir of the salah. This takbir-e-tahrima, you realize it's very, very important. This first initial praise of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When we say Allahu Akbar, okay, you'll realize that saying this Allahu Akbar, this is takbir-e-tahrima, is the final condition of salah. It's also the first fard of salah, and it's also wajib as well. So when we're coming over each one of these sections, the fara'id and the wajibat, you're going to come on to this then as well, inshallah ta'ala. Got about 7-8 minutes left. So that's the end of the slides that we are going to go over. If anyone has any questions, then you may ask, inshallah. You could use the chat box to ask your questions. If an individual leaves home for going to the masjid prayer area, going to the masjid and prayer area, and he knows he is going to for a certain prayer, is this also considered as an intention? Yes, it is. So he's left his home knowing that I'm going to go to the masjid and I'm going to read Salatul Isha with Jama'at. Then that would be considered as his intention, as when he left his home, he knew that he's going to read Salatul Isha. Now, when he gets there, for example, the Imam's already in Ruku, and the Jamaat has already started, and the Imam's in Ruku. Now he's going to go stand there on the Musalla, and first he's going to start his whole thing, his intention, that I make intention to read 4 rak'at, fard of Salatul Isha, facing towards the Qibla, behind this Imam. And then in this time, the Imam stood up, and he's missed his rak'ah. Yeah, this is not good. He should not do this. He knows his intention from home is to read Salatul Isha. Get there, say Allahu Akbar, and join the Jamaat straight away. When saying Takbir, how far do the hands need to go? According to the Hanifis, we're going to come on to this, but for us, inshallah, we need to raise our hands in line with our earlobes. Inshallah. Not read. What is a remedy for hastiness in prayer? Remedy for hastiness. Does that mean you want to read your salah slower, or you want to read it quicker? You should take your time when you're praying anyway. Missed salah is a separate question, separate topic, quite detailed. Inshallah, if we get a chance, we'll cover that later. I answered this earlier about the sleeping. If an individual falls asleep, then let me just check in here where it mentions this. So it says here quickly, Laws of Salah, it's on page number 20 of Laws of Salah, that when not sleeping would nullify the wudu. There are 2 conditions for the invalidation of wudu due to sleep. Number 1, both of the buttocks not being seated firmly, and number 2, sleeping in a manner that does not prevent deep sleep. If both above conditions coexist, sleeping would nullify the wudu. Okay, and then it gives you examples of different positions when sleeping will not affect the wudu and when sleeping will affect the wudu. So you can read that in more detail. Laws of Salah, page number 20, inshallah ta'ala. If you do not know many surahs, can you repeat the same surah in all rak'ahs? Yes, you can, but you should try to learn at least 4 surahs with good tajweed, so that you can read each different one in each rak'ah. You can read Nawafil before offering Salatul Isha's Fara'id, yes, in Asr time, yes you can. When you do Ruku, where your eyes need to be looking. When you're doing Ruku, your eyes should be on the back of your right foot. So the part of the foot that is clear where the bone is, you should be looking there. There's one narration that you look on the toe of the right foot as well, the big toe. How can we prevent ourselves from impatient and reading too quickly? Just think that who you are reading your salah in front of. Who are you worshipping? You're worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why would you be impatient in that? Why would you want to do that so quickly? Yeah? When we prepare ourselves for our salah, we should prepare ourselves well. Get ready well as well, insha'Allah ta'ala. How much distance should your feet have when standing? Should be approximately 4-finger gap, maximum 1 hand span, as per the Hanafis. When you're doing takbir, your fingers should be at a natural position. Should not be widespread, should not be so closely tight. The women will be behind the children. Individual means G. Still delay your salah. Okay, you read within the timing, but you've read it towards the end of the timing. If the makruh times are not coming in, then it is fine. But we should not make a habit of this. This is not a good habit to make. We don't know what could be the scenario. Anything can come up, and you've been thinking that you're going to read your salah later, but something pops up, and that's it. Your salah's gone to qada. So don't make it a habit of this. Try to read salah on time, and if you can in the early time, that is good. Okay, there's certain times like Zohar to delay it slightly is better, but don't delay it so much that it's right at the end of the salah time. Okay, that's most of the questions done. Anyway, Jazakallah. Reminder, tomorrow and Sunday, Saturday and Sunday, there's no session. Our next session will be on Monday, inshallah ta'ala. So Jazakallah once again for everyone turning up. May Allah bless you, reward you. And inshallah, our next session will be on Monday, inshallah azza wa jal. As-salatu was-salamu alayka ya Rasulullah wa ala alika wa ashabika ya Habiballah. Subhanak Allahumma wa bihamdika la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Subhanak Allahumma wa bihamdika la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Subhanak Allahumma wa bihamdika la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. As-salatu was-salamu alayka ya Nabiy Allah wa ala alika wa ashabika ya Nur Allah. Assalamu alaykum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.